Howdy music lovers, Tom from Blakgraz here. That is the beginning of one of my songs called Me Gusta. And Me Gusta actually is very special to me. It's a very important song to me because it's my tribute and kind of a tip of the hat to one of my favorite guitar players and one of the most amazing guitar players in the whole world, and that would be Mr. Carlos Santana. So if you listen to Me Gusta, you'll hear a lot of influence from him in there, not just with the lead lines and the melody and such, but especially with the rhythm and the extra percussion and the hits and the way the song is orchestrated, which I'll get into here in a second. But before I do, I want to thank everybody who's been listening to Me Gusta online, because it happened to be my top song last week for the most listens and most played, just whatever, you know, everywhere. It's out there everywhere through DistroKid. It's on every platform you can think of. So thank you so much to everybody for helping push that song out and for letting people know about it and using it on your posts. And it's pretty amazing all the different places that my music is going now. There's a lot of sharing going on, especially on TikTok too, of people using Blakgraz songs, which is kind of exciting. But Me Gusta was the top one last week. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what inspired me to write that song. When I write in certain styles, if you have seen my show, if you haven't seen my show, basically I've written an original variety show. If I were a cover band, I would pick cover songs that would keep people engaged and dancing and cheering and having fun and jumping up and down, very high energy. But cover bands pick different styles of music. They're not when you're in a variety cover band, you're playing all kinds of different styles of music: pop, rock, alternative, sometimes rap even, because that's what's popular as a cover band. That's what you're supposed to cover. So the way I approached putting my show together was to write songs that were similar to hit cover songs that I knew cover bands played, or even I had played in the past, that always got people dancing. So every time I wrote a song, it was based around the idea that I know that this particular song, Life in the Fast Lane by the Eagles, always gets people up, or Boot Scootin' Boogie always gets people up, or Play That Funky Music, White Boy, or Ballroom Blitz, all these cover songs. Those styles of songs always get people at cover rooms excited. So I picked each style that I knew had worked as from all the cover bands I've played in and tributes I've played in, and I picked the songs that I knew were the big like grab people by the collar and they're like, oh my gosh, I love this song, A Joy to the World, or Ohio by CSNY, or Neil Young, Harvest Moon. Everybody loves that song. All these different really big grab your attention songs that cover bands could play or do play or used to play. And I wrote originals that sound a lot like them. So that's the long way of saying that basically my show is an original show that's basically all originals, but are written specifically around the styles of the most popular cover songs you could ever pick. The most popular songs you could ever pick, I wrote stuff to sound a lot like those particular songs. And it's always fun too at a show when I'll play a song and someone in the audience will yell out, oh, this sounds like T-Rex, or this sounds like the Eagles, or this sounds like Cameo, or it sounds like, oh, that sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or that sounds like whatever. That's wonderful, because then they're getting it, right? They're listening to my song. It's my music. It's my interpretation of these artists who I love. I love those artists anyway. And they're getting the tip of the hat. They're getting the thank you to these artists for paving the path, right? So this song in particular, I put a challenge out to myself, because Carlos Santana is not really a singer. He has people who sing with him, but he's also known to be kind of like that 60s, 70s jam band type thing. Not as jammy as the Grateful Dead, but they definitely as a band would go out and he would direct them, you know, do more longer percussion solo, or do another drum solo, or do a keyboard solo here, or I'm going to keep soloing, just keep vamping, I'm going to keep playing. When you watch Carlos Santana's live videos, you see a musical director directing his orchestra while also playing lead guitar. And they also had songs that had words, and so there was structure there, but very often he would go off. Now that's not just from me watching his live videos because I'm such a fan. I also used to work with a fellow who used to tour with them as their main lighting engineering for this Carlos Santana touring show back in the 90s. He was the light man and sound man at Cove Haven, Caesar's Cove Haven at the time, when they owned it up in the Poconos, in the Pocono Mountains. And I used to be in the house band that played there, and so we were up there. There were 4 resorts, and we would, you know, rotate through the 4 resorts all week long, 5 nights a week. So I got to talk to him all the time, and every once in a while he would disappear for, you know, weeks or months on end, and then come back to the position of sound and lights. And every time he'd come back, he'd explain that, well, he went on tour with Carlos Santana and he was running the lights. He didn't do the sound, he just did the lights. And he said one of his biggest frustrations, not in a bad way, he appreciated it because it gave him a chance to kind of stretch out, but one of his things that caused him to have to be on his toes is that Carlos would change the arrangement of the songs. So he'd have all these scenes ready for specific songs and how it's going to progress, and Carlos would change it. So he'd have to make stuff up as he went, right? And okay, now he's got percussion soloing. I got to turn the lights up for the percussion. Oh, now Carlos is extending. No, he moved over to a different spot. Oh shoot, I got to get a light on him, right? They'd have their spotlight guys and all that, but you got to light up the stage and if things are changing, you don't know where it's changing, you just have to kind of keep your eyes open. So I'll never forget this fella explaining to me how Carlos would just constantly keep them on their toes, and the band too. He had the songs and the show and the order of the songs, but inside of each song, he would take liberties according to what the audience was giving him in terms of energy. If the audience was really digging a particular song or a particular section, he would just feed into it and just build the energy in the stadium, because Carlos played to big crowds. So that is one of the reasons that I'm such a huge fan of Carlos Santana. Now, the interesting thing is I don't normally play like Carlos Santana because my main focus has never really been just about instrumentation, right? Just playing the guitar, although I work on it all the time. My main focus was really about music for writing the song and storytelling. I'm a vocalist, I'm a guitar player, but my main focus for most of my life has been tell a good story, write a good song. The solos I was taught that the solo is supposed to be take the song where a vocalist can't go, right? So that solo's got to say something. It's not just look at what I can do. Ooh, you know, I'm so fast, and look at the tricks that I know, and I can play this way, and look at, you know, that doesn't serve the song. Unless it's part of the show and it moves the show along specifically, then you have a section of the show where you do those fancy things on your instrument. But mainly, it should be the song, the song, the song, right? The 3 characteristics of a hit song are the song, the song, the song. Well, the 3 characteristics of a hit show is the show, the show, the show. So there can be sections where you play your instrument and you kind of show off, right? Well, I thought, I don't normally do that, except for the stuff that I've been trying to do that sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan, like swinging, you know, that So that sounds very much like a Stevie Ray Vaughan song, especially when I put the right tone on it. So I had already been kind of in the mindset that my show needed spots where I can show all the different tricks that I know how to do on electric guitar, right?
Sunshine and Rain too, you do that a little bit.
Well, Sunshine and Rain is also one of those tunes, and it's true to the style that Sunshine and Rain is in, which is old school, like blues jazz. It's a love song, it's a ballad, it's slow, but it's very intense.
Very guitar driven.
And very guitar driven, because the guitar tells this story that the words can't tell, which is very typical of the blues. In blues music, the solo instrument actually goes places that the vocals can't go. That's why solos are so long sometimes, is it's saying parts that the vocalist can't say. And so in the vein of trying to reproduce Stevie Ray Vaughan's impact on an audience during a show as a segment of my show, I decided, well, Carlos Santana is a great example of an instrumentalist who tells a story with the notes, right? He has very specific notes that he chooses that say something in particular, which is why when you hear Carlos Santana play, you know it's him. You know it's his style, or someone's copying him, right?
It's very distinct.
Which is why this intro lick, straight out of that one hit song he did with Rob Thomas, right? And then I change it just slightly. Right? So then I add a little bit of myself to it, still through most of the song, trying to stay true to his style of playing and his sound. The song is based around three chords, just A minor, D minor over A minor over A, and then A minor 7 over back to D minor again. So it's all just building around that until the end of the song. Now, while that's all going on, there are some words in the song, which is in Spanish. It's es la forma en que se mueve, es la forma en que habla, es la forma en que se mueve, como ella me mira. Basically, it's the way that she moves, it's the way that she speaks, it's the way that she moves. Como ella, como es la forma en que se mueve, es la forma en que habla, es la forma en que se mueve, como ella me mira. And the way it's the way that she looks, how she looks at me, right? And in the background, the backing vocals are shouting, me gusta, I like her. La quiero, I want her. Me gusta, I like her. La quiero, I want her. So the response to those lines is the background saying those things. That's what the song is about. So the words are very simple and the chords are very simple. So the story really gets told by the lead guitar part. That was the point. Now it's funny because when I first started playing it out, I didn't know what to play. I wasn't sure. It took several times playing it out, and then fortunately my beautiful wife Martha videotaping it and saying, you know, that doesn't sound like you know what you're saying here yet. Keep working on it, keep working on it. And she would show me the videos and I was like, yeah, you know, that worked, but that didn't work. I kind of like that, but I didn't like that. It didn't
progress the story the way that it felt like it should. But then when you finally recorded it and before you finished for publication, you had me listen to it and I instantly knew that's the solo.
Yeah.
It was weird because it's not like I lived with the other parts and you were trying and repeating one of the solos like, oh, I think maybe this might be it. And I said, no, it doesn't feel like it. But then when you played this one and I didn't hear you practice it, play it, or anything, and then paired with everything else, immediately it's like, oh, the song is complete.
Yeah, and the way she described it was that it's almost like this guy seeing this girl out at a club and they kind of start noticing each other, then they start kind of flirting, and then by the end of the song they're dancing together, right? So it's this progression of attraction, right? and the guitar and the guitar parts actually say that. Now, I say that these are the chords for most of the song because what happens is it does a huge build, which is something Carlos Santana was amazing at. The theatrics of a big band in a big stadium, just doing these energetic builds, you know, with all these rolls and then going into this, I don't know if it's triplet or not, but it's basically, if this is the rhythm, into this. And then the bass line changes everything. The bass line starts to roll. That was it. Yeah.
Trying to play bass on a regular guitar.
Yeah. Well, I haven't played that bass line in a while. It's kind of hard to remember, but so that starts rolling along. Now it's like a train that's picked up speed.
Well,
right?
It's more like the groove that the couple now has. She's showing off. He's starting to kind of approach on the dance floor, and then they find the rhythm between the two of them.
Right.
And then the dancing just kind of they become in sync ultimately.
Yeah. And while that big buildup is happening, after that happens, I've got an on-off switch on my Strat TIFF that I use for effect. Then I'm also using harmonic effects, to get this build up, and then to build to that hit. That's where I use the on-off switch. And then I go into the famous quotes from Carlos. Right? You recognize that one if you're a Carlos fan. But then I change it and I make it my own. The solo builds into all these other parts. In fact, the one part, actually, I forgot about that. All right. So that's not even a solo section. That's where the lead guitar and the whole band come together for these massive hits. This so you can see how that section takes it from this into this big, huge thing, right? And the couples come together, the energy is building between them, and then the hits. And then it starts, it gets into all, then I get to put more of myself into it, right? Now we've reached the part where the couple is dancing close together and they're really on fire. And then I start to, like I said, it's more of me. So I'm using a wah pedal, and it's a very distorted sound, and it's a lot of not just Carlos's style and sound, which is that PRS guitar tone, the distortion, but more of my own Blakgraz lead sound, plus a whole build-up that uses the Santana arrangements to build tension and keep it rolling, build tension, keep it rolling, build tension to the climax, to where it ends. And it actually, man, this song gets my blood going.
Well, I'd say they can look, there should be about now a card that leads to the music video. I haven't done a lyric video,
right?
But there's a music video so they can hear the full production beyond what you're just playing here right now.
That is going to be the best way to go and actually listen to it, and then come back and to listen to me stutter over how to describe this tune to you. So once I'm done, so I'm quoting him, and then and then it comes down. So it does these hits going out. So it's very Latin rock, Carlos Santana, all the way around it, the whole thing, right? And the solo is the instrumentation, the lead guitar is actually the main storyteller in that song. Now, that was a real challenge for me, because I'm not used to that. I'm used to, there's a solo section and you play it, and then you get back to singing and telling the story and the arrangement and keeping on the microphone and talking to people and all that stuff. So having a song that really focuses mainly on guitar, like the Stevie, like Swingin' and like Good Vibes and Me Gusta, that was a challenge for me because I'd never really done instrumentation stuff like that before. Sure, there were songs that had longer solos in them. Even when I played for a friend in his project for a while in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, it was very progressive and very Frank Zappa different, lots of long runs and things exactly, you got to play exactly right. Or even when I used to be in a Fish tribute band, I had to play everything the way Trey Anastasio played it as best I could, right? So it's real specific about what you're going to be playing. Well, that's how this one is, but I'd never done it in my own music. See, that was the catch. This is my song that I'm thanking Carlos Santana for, and I had to make sure I did justice.
You represent.
Right, I got to represent Carlos well and play well enough that people will at least listen or take it seriously, right? Talk about nerve-wracking.
Well, and then playing it and performing it live. I mean, you're having a little challenge right now, but it's just funny because, like you say, you write stuff that's hard for you to even perform. But
sure.
But seeing you on stage, once you're in the groove and you're not having to think about it, really, you have the rest of the music. It's different for you. Plus, then you also see the audience's reaction to it too.
That's a huge part of it right there. When you're on stage and you're just in the groove, you're not thinking. The music just flows out of you, right? Mm-hmm. And especially if you've got people like we had this last weekend where so many people were dancing so much of the night. It's not even a thought anymore. You just become part of what you're playing and you just let it flow through you. Your hands relax, you smile, you have fun. Your breathing is much easier. You get intense because it just feels good. You're not doing it because you're straining. It just feels good to send that energy out and then to see them respond back to it, you know? So that's what this song was for. It was supposed to be kind of during the show. It's a show. It was a gemstone in the middle of the show that was completely different than most of what else they'd heard through the rest of the show. Unless, of course, I've done Swingin' or Good Vibes, which are instrumental songs, guitar instrumental songs, but it's not that style. It's the swing blues, Austin Lightning blues. It's very different from Latin rock, Carlos Santana, right? So, and that's the other thing about Carlos, right? Every time he solos, it sounds like a hook, from a melodic hook, a lyric hook, or I mean, when you produce a record, you're looking for all those different ways to hook people in so that they stay and listen to the song, right? Every time Carlos picks up the guitar, he plays something that people remember. It's
like the Journey solos.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where with you for Do Some More, I said, you've written a Journey solo without realizing it's Journey-esque. It's not a Journey specific, mm-hmm. but the hook of that solo for that song,
it sounds a lot like Neil Sean.
It sounds like that, but then it's also a main hook of that song, and everybody's heads turn. I see it every time you perform it, even though you're singing in French.
Yeah. So it's a French heavy metal song called Do Some More, and listen to the solo in the middle of it, near the end. It sounds like Neil Sean dropped by and laid down a solo for this song. Starts out real simple, but it has these beautiful high notes that float over top of all this amazing energy that's underneath, right? So anyway, I thought since Me Gusta was my top performing song last week, it would be fun. Last month, sorry. It would be fun to talk about it. Make sure you check out the music video. Also, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Everything helps. Thank you so much to everybody who's been helping us grow so fast too. It's pretty exciting at this point. In fact, I'm making a joke on a regular basis now. According to our stats online, by next week we'll be rich and famous.
So everybody will get a free show.
Yeah, so spread the word.
To our first big show, you'll get free ticket.
Right, so spread the word, because everybody who helps us get there, I'm going to have one big, huge party, and we're all going to have a celebration together when we make it next week.
And maybe you'll have another Carlos-esque Santana song written soon for that or something.
No pressure. No pressure, of course, right? All right, y'all, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see you at a show real soon.